Pete Davidson Chase Sue wonders crash car into home in Beverly Hills, according to cops. So it was no laughing matter. Comedian Pete Davidson drove into the side of a house in Beverly Hills on Saturday night with his actress girlfriend, Chase Sue Wenders, riding shotgun, police confirmed to the Post. Davidson was behind the wheel of a Mercedes, driving at a high rate of speed around 11 p.m. when he jumped a curb in the Flats neighborhood, according to TMZ, which first reported the incident. The Saturday Night Live alum ran down a fire hydrant and skidded across the front lawn before slamming into the corner of the house, according to the outlet. And the siding on one corner of the house was broken and pushed inward, according to photos of the damage obtained by the site. Now, what's interesting as well, like, if he doesn't have good car insurance, he's facing a pretty tough battle, right? Because if you have, like, this is the thing, this is why getting good car insurance, regardless of the price, is something that you pretty much need to do. So that if you do end up being at fault, you're not going to bankrupt yourself. Because all it takes is one accident and you can literally just financially destroy yourself if you do not have good enough insurance. And like his car's totaled, right? And he caused hefty damage to a Beverly Hills house where if you damage a cardboard, like it might cost you like 50 grand, which is crazy. Yeah, pieces of the car right here in the corner of the house destroyed. Windshield completely destroyed. Airbags deployed. And here's the thing that like a lot of people don't actually know this, right? But if the airbags deploy in a car, that is pretty much in most states an immediate total of the car. Regardless if there's like structural damage or not, or like there's really nothing else wrong with it, if the airbags deploy, that car's totaled. Like just done, right? The title's no longer good, it's just kaput. And that's something that people need to basically like understand. And again, you really need to have very good car insurance, and especially for him because the car that he was driving is a very high-end Mercedes, basically supercar. So we're talking about close to like 150, $120,000 for this car, roughly speaking. So hopefully he does have good car insurance so that one, he could replace this vehicle. Two, he could pay for the damages that he's going to be sued over for regardless. Right? Like no matter what, he's going to get sued over the fact that he hit someone's house and destroyed part of their house. And they're going to probably be able to get quite a lot of money from him. Even though technically no one was hurt, like if you are facing a lawsuit, they'll find a way to get money out of it. And the insurance company will probably just pay it out if he has good car insurance. So Beverly Hills police confirmed to the Post that the car crash occurred in damaged city property, the fire hydrant, and that reports including Davidson's involvement were accurate. However, a police spokesperson refused to provide further details as the department's investigation is ongoing. That's pretty typical. His girlfriend was in there, which that kind of sucks though. It does suck that you have like a boyfriend and girlfriend basically in the car crashed together, because that kind of sucks. Because if it were to end badly, then potentially both of them could have gone away. But yeah, let's see. Sources told TMZ that drugs and alcohol are not believed to have been a factor, and no one was injured in the wreck. Well, here's the thing: if no drugs or alcohol were involved, then he is just a really horrible driver, right? And that he was just speeding uncontrollably, right? Which is also not a good sign. And I bet you he's the type of guy that even though he was acting super stupid in a very fast car that costs a lot of money, he's probably going to go get himself another super fast car that costs too much money. Let's see some of these comments. Being that he was speeding and jumped the curb, it makes sense that he hit the house. He should get a reckless driving ticket. Agreed. He couldn't stop in time to avoid hitting the house. They are both lucky to be alive. He can afford to pay for the damages to the house and the fire hydrant and, of course, get another car. I hope he learned a lesson. Yeah, like, I pretty much agree 100% with this comment. Like, you had to go super fast to jump the curb, go through a fire hydrant, and smack into the side of a house, like hard enough to where the airbags deploy in your car. Let's see. See, nothing's going to happen to Davidson. Remember when Tiger Woods crashed his car going 87 in a 45? MPH zone, no ticket. In California, celebrities don't face the consequences of their actions. The thing is, he may not be charged with anything, but the homeowners are going to sue him for a lot of money. Period. Right? Like, this is just like an extremely easy lawsuit that the homeowners that had their house crashed into, they could just get a disgusting amount of money that is so over the top because of the situation. Because they could maybe try to claim like, oh my gosh, we were so afraid that we could have potentially have lost our lives in this car accident, etc., 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 and be paid crazy amounts of money. Let's see, Saturday night, 11 p.m. I'm sure there were no drugs or alcohol involved. Ba 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 ba. Let's see. I've been driving 40 years, never hit a house. Drugs and alcohol not suspected? Yeah, okay. Which also, by the way, I believe it is known that Pete Davidson has had an issue with drugs before. So I don't know if he's still dealing with that, but like, this isn't someone who drives in a coherent state would do, right? Like, you literally jumped a curb. Now, this would be a completely different scenario if like it was super bad weather, you couldn't see, and you just made a mistake and you slid because you didn't get any traction on your wheels to the road. That'd be a completely different scenario. But from this one, it just sounds like the guy was distracted, not paying attention, driving very recklessly, and jumped a curb. Or, more than likely, what probably actually happened because his girlfriend was inside the car with them, they were probably doing something not family friendly while he was driving super fast. He got distracted or couldn't handle keeping his eyes on the road while something was happening, and then they crash, which is probably the more likely scenario, but either way is just so bad. Let's see. So this person says perhaps she was practicing on a flute or trumpet and distracted him. That's kind of like my perspective on this. That maybe that is the case because I mean this is happening at like 11 p.m. and if we take the word of basically sources to TMZ saying that there was no drugs or alcohol involved, so then does that mean that he was distracted because of another reason? This guy says, where was her head at the time? A lot of fluke comments. Perhaps she was playing with his stick shift and he was distracted. Interesting. Feel free to give your thoughts on this. Either way, this is like a good warning to like everyone out there is to make sure you get extremely good car insurance, right? I'm talking about, roughly speaking, insurance worth about 10 times the amount that your vehicle costs. So let's say that you have a vehicle that costs like 30 grand. You probably want like coverage up to like $300,000 for like an accident, because in like the majority of cases that could pretty much cover stuff. The only problem is if you were to cause like a horrendous accident, or if you were to crash into like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari that just got off the lot, then you could be facing some pretty serious stuff. But roughly speaking, about 10 times the amount that your car is actually worth for like the total coverage for an accident payout would probably be good enough for you to like protect yourself, to protect your finances. So that even if you were to get sued, yeah, your insurance premiums will end up like bumping up if you're at fault, but in terms of like completely financially destroying you, you're going to be protected, right? It's just something to think about, because depending on which state or country you live in, there's definitely different requirements as to how much insurance that you actually are forced to have. Like in some states, they only require you to have like I think like $10,000 or $15,000 of coverage, which is insane. That's super small. So just keep that in mind. Like try to get good enough coverage where you could cover the loss of your vehicle, cover the loss of the other person's vehicle, any sort of like legal fees, litigation, settlements, health costs, etc. And again, that's roughly about 10 times the value of your car. That would basically be like the coverage of the whole thing. But just keep that in mind, you know?